The rain hammered against the windows of our small apartment in Seattle, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. I'm Finn, and until a few weeks ago I thought I had it all. A loving marriage, a stable job as a software developer, and a cozy life with my wife, Juniper. We'd been together for 7 years, married for 5, and I honestly believed we were soulmates. How wrong I was. It started subtly. Juniper, a talented graphic designer, began working late more frequently. Big project, she'd say, kissing me quickly before rushing out the door. I didn't think much of it at first. We both had demanding careers and I trusted her implicitly. But then came the changes. She started dressing differently, more stylishly, and wearing perfume she knew I didn't like. Her phone became glued to her hand, and she'd often step away to take calls, her voice hushed and secretive. One evening I decided to surprise her at work. I knew she was working late on a new campaign for a major client, so I picked up her favorite takeout from that Thai place downtown and drove over to her office. The building was dimly lit and the parking lot was nearly empty. I rode the elevator up to her floor, humming softly, picturing her surprised and happy face. As I approached her office, I heard voices. Juniper's voice and another man's. A deep, unfamiliar voice. I hesitated, a knot forming in my stomach. Maybe it was just a colleague, I told myself, but something felt wrong. I crept closer to the door and that's when I heard it. A moan, Juniper's moan. My blood ran cold. I pushed the door open, my hand trembling. The scene that greeted me was like a punch to the gut. Juniper was half undressed, straddling a man I'd never seen before. He was leaning back in her office chair, his eyes closed, a look of pure ecstasy on his face. They didn't even notice me at first, lost in their sordid little world. Juniper, I managed to choke out, my voice barely a whisper. They both jumped, their eyes widening in horror. Juniper scrambled off the man, pulling her clothes around her. The man, who looked to be in his late 30s with slick-back hair and a smug expression, simply smirked. "Finn," Juniper stammered, her face pale. "It's not what it looks like." "Oh, really?" "Because it looks exactly like my wife is cheating on me in her office," I said, my voice rising. "Who the hell is this?" This is Blaine," she said, avoiding my gaze. "He's a consultant," Blaine chuckled. "A consultant on pleasure, apparently," he said, his eyes mocking me. I wanted to punch him, to wipe that smirk off his face, but I was frozen, paralyzed by shock and disbelief. "Get out," I said to Blaine, my voice low and dangerous. "Get out before I do something I regret." Blaine shrugged, stood up, and straightened his clothes. "Pleasure doing business with you, Finn," he said, and then he sauntered out of the office, leaving me alone with my cheating wife. The next few hours were a blur. I remember screaming, crying, and throwing things. Juniper tried to explain, to apologize, but I couldn't hear her. All I could see was the image of her with Blaine, the betrayal searing into my soul. She claimed it was a mistake, a moment of weakness, that she still loved me. But the trust was gone, shattered into a million pieces. I moved out the next day, taking only what I needed. I couldn't bear to be in the same space as her, to breathe the same air. I found a small, temporary apartment downtown and tried to piece my life back together. The first few weeks were the hardest. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't focus on work. I was a shell of my former self, haunted by the image of Juniper and Blaine. My friends, Jasper and Willow, tried to be supportive, but nothing seemed to help. The pain was too deep, too raw. Then one day something shifted. I was scrolling through Juniper's social media, something I knew I shouldn't be doing, but I couldn't help myself. That's when I saw it. A picture of Juniper and Blaine, taken months ago, long before I caught them in her office. They were holding hands, smiling, looking like a couple. The caption read, "My everything." The rage that surged through me was unlike anything I'd ever felt. This wasn't just a mistake, a moment of weakness. This was a deliberate, calculated betrayal. She had been planning this, lying to me for months. That's when I decided I wasn't going to be a victim anymore. I was going to fight back. I was going to expose them, to make them pay for what they had done to me. I started digging. I spent hours online, searching for information about Blaine. It wasn't long before I found something. Blaine wasn't just a consultant. He was a con artist, a fraudster who had a long history of scamming businesses and individuals out of their money. He'd been using Juniper's company to launder money, and she was in on it. I contacted a lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Indigo. I told her everything, showed her the evidence I had gathered. She was impressed but also cautious. "This is serious, Finn," she said. "You could be putting yourself in danger. These people are not to be trifled with." "I don't care," I said. "I want them to pay." Indigo agreed to take the case, and she immediately contacted the authorities. The FBI launched an investigation, and it wasn't long before Juniper's company was raided. Documents were seized, and employees were questioned. Juniper and Blaine were both arrested and charged with fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. The trial was a media circus. Juniper and Blaine tried to deny everything, to paint themselves as victims, but the evidence was overwhelming. They were both found guilty and sentenced to prison. Juniper got 5 years, Blaine got 10. I watched as they were led away in handcuffs, their faces pale and defeated. I felt a sense of satisfaction, but also a deep sadness. This wasn't the ending I wanted. I didn't want Juniper to go to prison. I wanted our marriage to work. But she had destroyed that, and now she had to face the consequences. After the trial, I moved on with my life. I focused on my career, my friends, and my hobbies. I started dating again, but I was cautious, wary of getting hurt again. It took a long time to trust someone again, but eventually I met someone special. Her name was Scarlett, and she was everything Juniper wasn't: honest, kind, and genuine. We fell in love, and a year later we got married. One day, a few years after Juniper went to prison, I received a letter from her. She apologized for everything she had done, for the pain she had caused me. She said she understood why I had turned her in, that she deserved to be punished. She asked for my forgiveness, but I couldn't give it to her. Not yet anyway. Maybe someday, but not today. I threw the letter away and went back to my life with Scarlett. I had found happiness again, and I wasn't going to let Juniper's ghost haunt me any longer. The rain outside had stopped, and the sun was beginning to peek through the clouds. I took a deep breath and smiled. The storm had passed, and a new day was dawning. Years later, I heard that Juniper had been released from prison. She had moved to another state and was working as a waitress. I never saw her again, and I never spoke to her again. But I often think about her, about what could have been. We had a good thing once, but she threw it all away for greed and lust. And in the end, it cost her everything.